Welcome to Vegas Circle with Paki and Chris, and today joining the circle, we're excited to sit down with president and founder of All In Aviation. We've got Mr. Paul Sallach.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me.
You started your career at 17 years old, from my understanding, and went to the University of North Dakota.
Exactly. Yeah, I went to the place that no one else in the country wants to go. Right? That's where the number one university for aviation is. They've got like 1,000 students per semester going through there to become pilots. So I went up there because it was a cheap school. My dad was a preacher, so he wasn't going to be able to afford to send us. So I wanted to be a pilot, and that's where I went. And thank God, because it is truly one of the most respected universities in the aviation world throughout the entire world. So it's opened a lot of doors for me.
So it's almost like you've always been interested in aviation, right? So it seems like that's a personal passion. Like, where did that stem from, and what made you want to kind of jump into that?
Yeah, so I tell the story somewhat jokingly, but my dad's a pastor, and both my grandpas are pastors, and they wanted me to be like the third generation
I was going to say,
pastor.
they want you to be a pastor,
And I did not want to be a pastor after going all the hospital visitations and all the stuff that you get to see as a pastor's kid. You know, you see the ugly side of just all the hard work that they do. So I wanted to do something that kept me out of an office, kept me out of a hospital. So I figured an airplane kept me,
go to extremes,
close enough to God, but not actually like working for him, right?
That's a good marketing strategy. That's hilarious. That's good stuff, man. That's really good, Brandon. So you guys actually started in 2016, right? Is that when you actually moved to Vegas?
No, so I moved to Vegas in 2009 to sell pre-owned airplanes, and I've been selling pre-owned airplanes since then, and I still do till today. And the flight school started sort of as a necessity of seeing that the Las Vegas market was not being served for the people that wanted to train in higher performance, high-end airplanes. The typical flight school is a race to the bottom. Everybody wants to compete based on price and be the cheapest provider that there is. And people often ignore the people that can afford to buy airplanes. And I would sell an airplane to somebody, and they needed some hand-holding after the sale so that they were safe, right? And no one was here to provide it. So after 6-7 years of delivering airplanes and just turning them over to nobody, it was just a function of, if no one else is going to do it,
it's a market for it.
It's time to go all in and make it happen, right? You got to do it yourself. So
kind of crazy, because you would think that it would be a kind of a hub for aviation, considering Nellis Air Force Base, you have desert all around us to fly and practice. It seems like a perfect area for it.
So there's a lot of government contracting work, right? And GI Bill and stuff like that. In order to take advantage of a lot of those government contracts, you do have to be the lowest bidder. So it's a hyper competitive kind
of space that you have to do
based purely on price. We don't want to be the cheapest flight in school in town. We want to be the best flight in school in town. So we have the nicest airplanes, the best instructors, hopefully the best facilities. So that's what we want to sort of differentiate ourselves from everybody else, not just here in town, but really we think in the country. So we've got some of the nicest facilities. You guys have to come out to the Henderson Executive
Airport. I was
Airport.
looking it up. It's amazing.
I want to fly.
I saw, because it's like a 26 hangar facility. I couldn't believe how big the facility is, and it's located at the Henderson Executive Airport.
Exactly. So one of the biggest barriers to selling an airplane to somebody here in Las Vegas is where to put it. Right, if you're going to buy a $1 million airplane, you're probably not going to park it in 110-degree heat.
That makes a lot of sense.
And you probably live in like the Anthem Highlands, Southern Highlands, McDonald Highlands, that sort of part of town. And there was nothing at the Henderson Airport to accommodate these people that were buying airplanes. So again, if you see a need and no one else is doing something about it, we figured we would build some hangars and try to provide a solution to a problem that we saw right in front of our faces. So
that's like perfect business plan.
It's amazing to be able to find a need in that market. You know what I mean? With being able to have Vegas, like we were talking offline before that, it seems like it would be such a great business to have, because it's a tourist area too. So I know that's the side of the business. But then you've got, Zion, you've got Grand Canyon, you've got Red Rock, all these beautiful places that you could fly in and out of, real fast. So I'd be curious to see, some of the things you've seen.
So I would say, like, for the people that live here, the tourist places probably aren't really the ones that the locals are going to. Right? We get a lot of transient customers that want to experience a nice airplane and see a nice sight. So the out-of-town client for us really takes advantage of that.
Yeah.
The people that are local that need, aviation transportation in their lives are typically business people.
Okay.
And they need to be able to get to like John Wayne, or they need to be able to get to Palm Springs. They need to get to Scottsdale. They need to get to these places that are somewhat connected to commercial travel.
Yeah.
But if you want to get to Scottsdale, you got an airline out of McCarran, then go down to Sky Harbor, and then get an Uber. And you just added probably 2.5, 3 hours to your travel that only takes, in a small little airplane like we have, a 1 hour flight. So it's
saves so much time.
Yeah, you're
Exactly.
Cutting all the TSA out, you're cutting everything out, which is awesome. Yeah.
So for the local customer, the cool spots that you just mentioned aren't really the attraction to them. It's the time. It's the value of time and having that ability to utilize your own airplane to benefit your business.
And do you think it's mostly like the business owner that does it, or is the hobbyists that are trying to do it? Is it the people that are
So the people that are buying their own airplanes are typically the business people.
Okay.
They're the general contractors, right? So like the guys that are building concrete structures here are building concrete structures in Arizona. They're building them all over the place.
Sure.
They have car dealerships. They have CPA firms. They're lawyers. They need to travel for litigation. Those are the typical people that I work with that are like buying airplanes, and it's a tax write-off. So there's definitely that play, and it's a significant tax write-off. So I would say that there's very few hobbyists that are buying high-end airplanes just because of the cost.
Yeah.
You really got to have a lot of just discretionary income if you're doing it just for fun, which is why we rent them to a lot of the hobbyists.
I wanted to ask, because you guys offer multiple services, right? So from sales to repairs to renting. I was curious how that works. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're that hobbyist, you want a taste of the high end.
That's what Chris wanted. I wanted to find out, so we could.
I was going to get to that test. I got a little work to do.
Yeah, trying to figure out how we could make that happen. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't want to spend $1 million to go buy this airplane, right? You just want to be able to rent it and use it for that quick trip to Scottsdale. So that's where the flight school, where aircraft rental really sort of comes into play. That $1 million airplane you can rent for $500 an hour, and that's only based on the time that the engine is turning. So you got an hour going to Scottsdale, an hour coming back. Your trip that you maybe take one of your managers or employees, some sort of supervisor with you, costs you probably less than it would have on Southwest, and you're getting there quick.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
So for family trips,
pretty damn cool to be able to do that. Yeah.
What's
that's cool. I didn't realize it would be that price comparable. Honestly,
yeah. The key there is that you got to be a pilot. I cannot offer you. I can't do charter.
Okay.
So a lot of people will call us and say, "Hey, I want to go to Scottsdale. Can I take a plane and a pilot?" We can't do that.
That's not gonna work. Got it.
That's not going to work. So if you learn to get your license, you learn to fly, and then you can just take one of our planes whenever you want.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's pretty cool. Do you get a certification, or how does it work? Or you get a license when you get your enough hours and things on that line?
Yep. So the FAA oversees all of pilot certificates.
Okay.
If you want to be able to fly yourself, it's called a private pilot.
Okay.
And in order to become a private pilot, it's 40 hours of flight time at a minimum to achieve your certificate, along with one of our instructors.
Got it.
So let's say that you're a super pilot, right? You're God's gift to aviation. You get it done in exactly 40 hours. You're going to get a private pilot certificate that allows you to take your family, your friends, really anybody that you want to take, up to 6 passengers. And then you've got the freedom to fly anywhere that you want, so long as you stay out of the clouds. So then the next license is, if you want to be able to fly into the clouds, it's called an instrument rating.
Okay.
So if you want to go to SoCal and there's the marine layer for half of the year in the morning, right? You guys have probably all been there.
Yep.
You need to have an instrument rating if you're going to get into the marine layer, out in the marine layer. So people that want to not just fly from here to Scottsdale, right, where it's always clear skies, will advance to that rating. That one also takes about 65 hours. That's a little bit more, but it's a little bit more technical because you can't see out the window.
That's scary. I'm just thinking about that right now. That's scary. That's super scary. Yeah.
So it takes a little bit more of like, you got to know the rules, you got to know the procedures, because everybody else in the air also can't see out the window. And we need to make sure we don't hit each other, right?
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
That's unreal. That's amazing. Yeah.
So that's really the journey of most people that want to just take their own airplane. You don't have to go instrument rating, but if you want the full benefit, you want to be able to travel when the weather is a little bit less than perfect. Those are the 2 ratings that you would need.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. We kind of talk about there was nobody serving the market in Vegas, and I think it makes sense because it's a very high barrier of entry.
Yeah.
So for somebody that offer all these different services, mechanical, renting, I'm sure you have to be very well qualified to be able to even just offer those services. Like, what has been that kind of process for you, and what challenges have you seen kind of getting to that point where you could even get approval from FAA, be able to get mechanics, and do all these different type of things in the a high liability field? Like, it seems.
Yeah, so we don't do maintenance as it stands today. We actually have a partner that helped build all the hangars at the Henderson Airport. So he owns the maintenance shop. I do the training, the sales, and the rental.
Gotcha.
But we're very, very much,
it's like a marriage, like a business marriage. Yeah, I got
exactly.
you.
My planes don't work if his mechanics don't, turn the wrenches and make them real good. But because I went to university for aviation, I sort of had a little bit of a formal education, if you will, in just that. So I don't know. There wasn't a ton of barriers of entry other than just having the cojones to go and actually do it, right? And you have to buy an airplane to do it. So that's really the big thing that you sort of have to wrap your head around. Like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I need to jump in with step number 1 in airplanes. So that's a big fear factor for a lot of people. But since I'd been selling airplanes for so long, it was something that's just part of my vocabulary, almost, just talking about airplanes every day. So the biggest challenge for us is, just like anybody else that you probably interview, is just people. In this particular market, we need flight instructors, right? I need people that are going to teach other people how to fly. The airlines are gobbling up flight instructors because they are short of pilots.
Sure.
So we're sort of that entry level of making the guy that just got his license, grooming them with a few professional hours where they make money and they deliver a service. And then we've got them probably for 18 months until they get the minimum number of hours that are necessary for an airliner. And that's 1,500 hours of flying.
1,500, okay.
So if I hire them with 400 hours-ish, depending on the applicant, and I give them probably the ability to fly 800, 900 hours a year, I know that I'm probably going to lose a guy in a year and a half. So
just the way the turnover works with business, unfortunately.
They
probably have recruiters that are looking.
Oh my gosh,
all the schools and stuff.
The airlines it's all about seniority because it's a union type job. So the earlier that they start, albeit when they leave me, they take a pay cut. Right, to go in to work in an airline.
Sure.
But they get a seniority number that's their seniority number up until the point that they retire. So they want to get started earlier because it's mandatory retirement at 65. You can't fly after 65 commercially in an airline. So if you're that 25-year-old kid that's
trying
working
to get there
for
40
me,
years, whatever it is,
yeah, exactly. They don't want to wait to 30 to start. They just like hurry up and get in so that they can start.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you ever, like, for example, just to kind of sidetrack for a second, like when you're getting your driver's license, your regular driver's license for a car, I remember you drive with your instructor next to you. Are you super nervous when you're in with somebody trying to fly? I can't even just imagine what your...
Did you get the secondary controls?
How does that work? Yeah, I can't even imagine.
So that's really the big thing. Like, there's 2 sets of controls really in all airplanes.
Sure, that's what I was curious how all this works. Yeah.
Yep. So like, if they do something stupid, I'm right there to stop their stupid move.
Yeah.
So I'm really not nervous when I'm in the plane with them. But the first sense of nervousness of any flight instructor is when you are the one signing in their logbook that you attest to the fact that they are ready to go on their own. And that's the one where you get the most amount of like anxiety. Like, did I forget to teach them how to do this or talk on the radio about that.
Because 40 hours doesn't seem like a huge amount of time.
That's not a lot of time.
They kind of learn how to do it.
And remember, that's when they get their license.
Yeah.
They're flying by themselves probably at 15 hours, 20 hours.
Wow.
No.
15 hours?
Yeah. If
that's crazy. But that'd be pretty cool, though, to be able to learn. You think about your video games.
Hey, I played Flight Simulator. I got a leg up here.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, though. 15 hours, and then they're actually running and doing
I would say that, again, is God's gift to aviation. That person that walks in the door and they're like devoted to like, I'm going to learn, I'm going to get this done. They should be able to solo at about 15 hours. If you're one of these guys that shows up once a month learning how to fly because you don't have any time, it's going to take you years to solo. So there's not a one size fits all, but the highly motivated, like when you go to a university like I did, I soloed, I think, at 14 hours. Most people in a university setting are soloing right around that time because they got to hurry up and get their final license done at 40.
Sure.
Yeah. You know, how complicated is it to get your license? And then realistically, even though it's 40 hours, how long is it from point A to point B to where you're actually out flying by yourself?
Well, so after you get your license, you have already flown by yourself a minimum of 10 hours. So of those 40 hours that I said, 10 of them are solo hours. And several of those hours have to go to be certain miles away.
So I was curious, like how long it is. Yeah.
Yep. So like we call, in aviation, we call it a cross country.
Okay.
A cross country is anything more than 50 nautical miles. Okay. It's not what you think of, like going across country, right? So like a frequent cross-country destination for our customers is to go to Kingman, Arizona, which is
you're literally going there and turn around.
You're going there, you're learning how to leave the nest and come back to the nest.
Okay.
So by the time you get your license, you have that comfort level of leaving. It's just, getting into the busy airspace, that's where it becomes intimidating. Going into LA where you've got airspace on airspace on airspace on airspace because you've got LAX, you've got John Wayne, you've got Burbank, you've got you've got every single airport in between. That's where I would say that it's all based on proficiency and how quick you learn and how good you can interpret things. But some of these guys are rock stars and they're doing it right away.
That's great. I get nervous just going to the airport in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Trying to fly a plane to there.
You hear people say, like, for example, regular driving a car, people are text messaging, they're eating, they're putting makeup on and things. You can't do that, obviously, when you're in an airplane, so you have to be focused on the airplane, I would
yes
assume.
And no. I mean, in a lot of ways, there's nothing to hit up there, right? So, like, when you're on the ground and testing and driving, like, there's a car in the lane right next to you. When you're up in the air, if you have an autopilot, like our planes have autopilots, you tell it to take you to wherever at a certain altitude, you can get pretty distracted with other stuff because the plane is just flying itself.
Oh, that's cool.
That's not to say that you should be texting and putting makeup on and stuff like that.
Eating a burrito or something while you're flying.
But you people, you look at the pilots that are flying the commercial airliners, they're up there reading the New York Times or Wall Street Journal or whatever it is that they're doing.
While they're doing their 2, 3 hour, 4 hour flight. Yeah,
exactly.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing. What has the gas done to your business just because the increases of everything, man?
The cost of fuel?
Yeah, the cost of fuel. Yeah.
So far, we really haven't noticed it. So awesome. I would say that most people that are in I can afford an airplane, the cost increase right now hasn't really impacted it. I'm not going to say that that's going to stay forever, but as it stands today, knock on wood, we haven't seen any impact of it quite yet.
That's good. Yeah. That's good to be able to see. So you said, like, kind of backing up a little bit, your ideal customer is traditionally business owners, right? Because we're a business show, so I know a lot of people would want to know that. So you're seeing a lot of folks where they might have is it a smaller plane or a size plane that could go from here to, let's say, you said Scottsdale or to LA. Are these smaller planes going from here to Boston or Florida or things like that?
So my specialty is a Cirrus aircraft.
Okay.
It's the number one selling airplane in the world. It's the plane that has a parachute on it. It's very much like technologically advanced, like the inside of a Tesla. So that's my sort of bread and butter. And that is the one that I would say is the most ideally suited for a business type person that has regional travel. The plane goes about 200 miles an hour, somewhere in that ballpark. So going to Boston at 200 miles an hour.
It's going to take a long time. Yeah.
With 2, maybe 3 fuel stops on the way. It's the wrong airplane, right? You need a bigger, faster airplane. Yeah. It's anything within, I would say, a 500-mile bubble.
Radius, yeah. Okay.
I tell people, like, you want to go somewhere that your bladder can last, because you got to get out, stretch, go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
These are not airplanes that have, like, lavatories or toilets in them, so you're going to get out and stretch. So that's the perfect customer, is somebody that has that regional travel need. If they're going to buy a plane, the biggest benefit is depreciation. So in the year that you purchase the airplane, you can fully depreciate it in 1 year.
Oh,
that's pretty
cool. That's something that really business people hear that and their ears perk up big time.
Yeah.
If you get a good year of income, let's just take, you're going to net out $500,000 at the end of the year that you're going to pay a 35% tax on, or you buy an airplane for $500,000, put 15% down, finance it, so your out of pocket was 20% lower, and you got an airplane at the end of it and paid 0 in taxes. So that's
not a bad deal.
So that's the customer that we work with. That's who I'm trying to attract in the flight school.
Sure.
Is people that want to learn how to fly, to be able to use our planes, maybe one day buy airplanes. And cater to that business customer.
Yeah. I think that's like an all-encompassing thing, because if you just educate people on that aspect of it, it's almost a no-brainer. If you're making it a certain income bracket, just get an airplane.
Like, exactly.
Well, it's interesting too. You mentioned like the Tesla model.
Yep.
If you saw Elon Musk just bought Twitter for $40-something billion, man. And I was also seeing that he doesn't even have a home. He just has his airplane.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he doesn't even have a home.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he just sold all of his homes.
Yeah, he sold all of his homes, and it's just amazing to be able to see the focus that he has.
Probably sick of the property tax, right? You don't have a home, you kind of don't have property tax.
Yeah, that's true. I think he said he sleeps on the home of his businesses or something like that, or a friend's house.
House and stuff.
I guess when you have multi-billion-dollar friends, you could stay at their guest house and be fine.
And you buy on Twitter for cash.
Yeah,
so
that's sense. Wild.
Makes sense for sure.
You briefly touched on Tesla. What do you think the impact? Eventually, I would assume there is going to be a fully autopilot feature. I would assume there's going to be where it takes off, lands, and then the flight attendant or the flight pilot itself is going to, you would think, maybe go away.
One day go away.
You think that's going to...
Yeah, it was very key.
So I think that it's probably going to happen with like the Uber type stuff, the very local, like you want to get to the Golden Knights game real quick, and you just want the little helicopter to come pick you up and drop you off at your house. I think that's where we're going to see autonomous flight happen without any pilot at all.
Yep.
To the point where we get to where 150 passengers are flying in a commercial airplane, we are a long ways away from that. There's just so many variables with airplanes and weather systems and mechanical things, and then procedures to follow for airliners, that I'm not losing any sleep over it.
That's a good point.
There's going to be a need for pilots for a long time.
Yeah, job security. Yeah, business security for you. Yeah,
and those ones where flight is going to be without pilots it's a new space. So I don't think it's really going to pull away from from commercial transportation as far as who we provide, the pilots that we provide, because these little helicopter things are just going to be buzzing all over the place. And
I feel comfortable in a car without a driver, but maybe not an airplane so much. I'm a little ways to even feel comfortable from that point.
Yeah.
So we also have a jet that we sell, the Cirrus airplane anyways, and it does have a feature that just came out last year where you literally, if the pilot dies or passes out or whatever it may be, there's a button that you can push. It's right in the ceiling. You push the button and the plane figures out the best place to land. It looks at the weather. It looks at the terrain. It looks at everything. It tells air traffic control that you're in an emergency. It descends the plane. It puts the landing gear down. It lands. It brakes on the runway for you. It shuts down the engine, and then it directs the passengers to get out of the plane. So the level of like emergency autonomy without a pilot is already here. We're living with that right now.
Yeah.
But with the mission of like, hey, depart without anybody in the plane, the military's not even there yet, right?
Yeah.
These UAVs that have nobody in them out there actually have people sitting on the ground in a cockpit flying at right up there at Creech or wherever else they are around the country.
Do you have your own plane also?
I do. Okay, yeah. We use our plane though in the business.
Okay.
So we use it. We rent it out just like we would to anybody. But within our company, like we train new flight instructors. So we're going to give them instruction. We do a lot of marketing flights. We do a lot of charity giveaway flights, where we'll donate a training package. All those sort of things are business expenses that we want to have an airplane to be able to do that ourselves. And then it is nice to be able to take the family and go to Disneyland like we did for spring break last week. So
and fly into John Wayne to be able to do it. That's
or awesome. Even closer, we flew into Fullerton.
Okay.
Most people don't even realize.
I didn't even know there was an airport there.
Yep. Fullerton, and it was a 7-minute Uber ride to Disneyland.
That's wild.
So you're very big on time, and that's what businesses, business owners that we bring on, they're always trying to figure out strategies, and I can't even imagine, because you got to be able to strategize with time, and it's got to be so specific, with flights and things like that, and being able to, set your day up. It's got to work. So,
well, but what's nice about setting your day up is that sometimes it doesn't work out as planned.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And if you're beholden to like a commercial airline travel schedule, if things don't work out as planned, you're left scrambling.
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
If you have your own airplane and your business meeting runs long, or you're in a city hall meeting that you didn't anticipate, or whatever it may be, your plane's not leaving without you, right?
That's so awesome.
You get back to the airport, hop in whenever you got to go. So it does help, relieve some of the stress of flying, because it's not going anywhere until you get there.
Is it pretty cool. Obviously I've only ever been in commercial airlines before, so just the procedure of going to the airport and all these pre-checks and doing all those type of things, is it a similar type of process to get into your own airline? Is I pull up to it, I fly away?
That's exactly right. Yep. So if you have your own plane, you can get a gate card to get onto the airport. You literally pull up right to your plane. If you're renting, you come in the parking lot, go to the bathroom, walk out the door, pre-flight the aircraft. Of course, we're not going to let just random people walk in. So we typically know the people that are renting our planes and giving them the keys. But no, I mean the freedom that aviation
that sounds fantastic.
affords,
and you're up at almost 15 hours, 40 hours.
Go half on a plane or what?
Yeah, I know. I saw my mind is working. That's
I know. Well, a lot of people will ask just
the tax.
Hey, can I bring I'm a concealed carry guy. Is it all right if I carry it? I'm like, I don't care if you carry your gun. This is whatever you want to do. You have to be careful about the state rules. Of course, but so that's just one example of additional freedom, taking your bottle of wine with you wherever you want, whatever it is.
Worry about all
do.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's amazing to be able to do that. What's a business gem that you could provide our listeners with, that maybe they want to, because you've been in business, you've been in sales before also, maybe they have a dream of opening their own business. What would you tell them?
I often tell people, look at the things that are right in front of you within your realm of control. So many people knew that the Henderson Airport needed something to be done, and nobody did anything about it. I just think there's probably examples of that in everybody's business where there's something right underneath them.
Sure.
So they're busy thinking oh, what's the next big Twitter idea? But they're not looking at what's right in their sphere of influence. So I would say focus on what you can control, and be the best at it, and then the dollars will roll in.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's good perspective for sure. You got kind of an amazing option because you have your own planes. You can probably fly your wife and be able to go to, like you said, to Anaheim or wherever. But we always ask our guests favorite restaurants in Vegas.
Favorite restaurants in Vegas?
In Vegas or Henderson, or I should say Henderson too.
Okay, so first let me tell you the best restaurant to go to is to take your own airplane and to go to Sedona Airport, which is at the top of a mesa. You land there, you literally walk out the gate into the restaurant, you eat, and then you walk through the gate, jump in your airplane, and fly home.
Yeah, great marketing commercial. Yeah, for sure.
That sounds like a great date night.
Yeah, I'm winning big points if you do that.
If you want one in Vegas,
stop talking about this. My wife in the corner.
What are you doing?
Set this all up.
I will say eating at the Henderson Executive Airport is very cool. Most people don't even know that the airport has a restaurant that's open to the public. It's on the second story patio. So if you have kids that you want to take and watch airplanes take off and land, or you just have enthusiasts that want a cool place, there's always business people up there, because again, most people that are going through an airport are business people. So you see a lot of like,
it's like a great network place too.
I was just going to say, it's a really good place for that. So those are my two recommendations.
Nobody's ever said that at all.
No, that's interesting. Gems. Is there a name for the restaurant?
It's called The Landings.
The Landing.
The Landings at the Henderson Executive Airport.
We'll definitely see us there, man. Be able to check it out.
It's a lunch spot, so don't go there for dinner or it'll be closed.
But that's great though to be able to do it and you be able to see the planes and be able to have the experience. It's awesome.
Yep.
So, yeah, good stuff. What else are you concentrated on for this year and coming up?
Wow, man. We are focusing on trying to be more organized is our biggest thing. And this is probably every small business, but we just got ourselves into a CRM system that is very much like bad info in, bad info out. So we have to force ourselves to actually put that info in and actually utilize it. So getting buy-in from all the people on my team to actually use it is probably what I would say is the biggest thing that we're focused on. We're spending the money on these tools. Let's actually try to utilize them and get the benefit out of them.
That's amazing. Yeah. Where can people reach out to you if they wanted to learn more about All In Aviation?
Yep. So we're on the Facebooks and the Instagrams, but if you go to allinaviation.com, that's our website. You go if you want to call us 702 all in 22. Which is 255-4622.
There you go. Just the commercials. Yeah.
If you see me in a hockey game or a football game, you will see on the back of my jersey it says All In 22. So I tell people to take a picture of my jersey so they remember how to call me.
That's good. That's good marketing, man. Yeah. That's great stuff, man. Paul, it's an absolute pleasure to be able to hang out with you. You're going to see us over there to be able to check out the airport and be able to see that lunch spot.
We'd love for you to come check us out anytime. We'll give you the tour. We'll put you in the cockpit, and I think you guys will be blown away. It's accessible to anybody, right?
Awesome.
You feel like it might be a big barrier to entry, but just come open the front door and walk on in. There's nothing that you need to do in advance. So we'd love for you to come and go all in.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Paul, no, seriously, man, awesome, man. You'll be able to check us out at thevegascircle.com and subscribe with us. So appreciate you, buddy. That was good.
Thanks for having me, guys.
That was awesome, man.
Right.
Yeah, that was
Thank
really
you
good.
so much.